Hello, everybody. Good evening. It is great to see everybody out here, especially during the summer. We called our meeting to order earlier in our closed executive session, so thanks for your patience and waiting for us to all come out and gather. Happy summer. And we're also excited tonight to welcome our newest board member, Paul O'Brien. He is fingerprinted, background checked, sworn in, so congratulations, and we're excited to have you. Thank you. Yes, well deserved. So now I'm going to ask Dr. Adderhold, do you have anything to add tonight before we jump in?
Well, good evening, everyone. I'll just share well, first of all, congratulations and welcome to all of our student athletes, our families, our coaches that are here tonight. We're thrilled to have you, and we really appreciate you coming out in the end of July to be here to be recognized. For the purpose of the meeting, we are going to start with presentation of the student athletes. When that's over, we'll take a slight pause before the HIB presentation goes on. If you're here for the full meeting, you're welcome to stay. But we also recognize that you might want to go on with your evening and not see a 40-minute presentation on harassment, intimidation, and bullying. So no one should feel bad about getting up and walking out when the student-athlete presentations are over, and we will not be offended. But of course, you're all welcome to stay for the regular meeting. As we work through the summer, we're very much into the hiring season. We finally hired our last 2 administrative positions on tonight's agenda. We're working through a couple last-minute teaching and counseling vacancies that happen every year throughout this time. And we're also very actively working on construction, as you can see around the district. Most of the construction is taking place inside with flooring upgrades at several of our schools. You will notice some solar projects that start through the next couple weeks to months, and also next summer as we put solar parking in 5 of our school parking lots. One of the reasons we do things like that is you can do energy savings programs, so you can do construction at other schools. So through our energy savings program, we're going to be able to do about $9 million worth of work of increase to our heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems with the money we would have spent on bills because we've decreased our energy costs. And that will replace almost all of the remaining HVAC at Hawk that's so desperately needs to be updated. And that work's happening this summer with 40 different unit ventilators. Those are those box units in classrooms getting ripped out and replaced and restored and reconnected this summer at Maurice Hawk. So lots of different work happening. Also, since there's such a nice audience of families here, to spread the word that the bridge closure that's going to happen, we sent a letter out last week, but that bridge closure that's going to happen on the high school north side as you drive to North and Community and Millstone from the West Windsor side will be a nightmare for 6 months. That is a county project over a waterway. They're expecting over 180 days of construction. That started in July and will go through the better part of 2025, if not into 2026. So if you have a student driver in the room, they're going to need additional time. And if you have a bus, which almost everyone does, save yourselves a headache, parents, and please put your children on bus because that will decrease traffic and it will help us be able to get students faster to school. And it will save you a lot of congestion, a lot of frustration, and a lot of money in the swear jar. So with that, we look forward to our athletic presentation. I'll turn it back to the board president.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And so now it's time to recognize our spring athletics, and we welcome Kate Dobinson and Jeff Riley.
So I won the coin toss tonight, so I'm going to go first. There we go. Is that better? All right, so tonight I have the honor of recognizing several outstanding student athletes and coaches from High School South. The first team I'd like to honor, and I'm going to ask that all members who are present to come up to be honored, is the South volleyball team, whose hard work, unity, and determination has made history for our district and community. Members include, and if players could please come up and join me, Lakil Gudapati, Rishi Saga, Kushaga Tripathi, Ishwan Mamadi, Jackson D. Costanza, Andrew Yan, Ishan Kal Uskar, Aditya Sridhar, Srivash Moore, Nagasi Gaurith, Nikhil Koya, Ryan Thompson, Akil Arun, Varun Shenoy, Sai Dayandidi, Noah Chen, and Surya Nanduri. In a season defined by perseverance and excellence, the South volleyball team captured its first BCSL tournament championship, a milestone that reflects the team's growth and commitment to excellence, but the accomplishments don't stop there. Under the leadership of Coach David Colon, the Pirates made a remarkable run through the NJSIAA South Group 3 playoffs, ultimately advancing to the sectional final for the first time in program history. Along the way, they competed with heart, energy, sportsmanship, and qualities that have become the hallmark of South athletics. This season not only sets new records, but also sets a new standard for the future teams. From standout individual performances to collective team triumphs, the Pirates prove what's possible when talent meets tenacity. Of this team, I would also like to acknowledge two outstanding members. Srivash Moore, a sophomore at WWP South, has been named the BCSL Player of the Year, a remarkable accomplishment for any athlete. But especially for someone in just his second year. He has quickly become a dominant force in the conference and one of the top volleyball players in the state. This season alone, he recorded an incredible 323 kills, including 22 matches with double-digit kills and a season high of 18 in the sectional semifinals against WWP North. He also added 157 digs and played a key role as one of the team's top servers. In just 2 seasons, he has amassed 531 career kills, a testament to his consistency, drive, and athleticism. But beyond the numbers, he plays with heart, humility, and a team-first mindset that inspires those around him. Congratulations. The second individual that I'd like to recognize from the volleyball team is Coach David Colon. Coach Colon has been named BCSL Coach of the Year, and it's easy to see why. This past season marked historic milestones for the Pirates under his leadership. After years of dedication and steady progress, Coach Colon guided the team to its first ever BCSL conference title and an unforgettable run to the South Group 3 final, the first in the program's history. With a remarkable 22-win season, the Pirates also earned the 3rd seed in the sectional tournament, an accomplishment that reflects the culture, excellence, discipline, and teamwork that Coach Colon has instilled in his players. More than just wins and titles, Coach Colon has helped shape a program that uplifts student athletes, teaches resilience, and builds community pride. His impact extends beyond the field, and his leadership is helping pave the way for future success at South. Congratulations. It's been a lot of fun watching the volleyball team play this season, and you know, a lot of my student athletes see me pacing on the side in games, in matches. My tennis team can definitely say this, but I always tell all of you this, that I love watching our student athletes compete and play, and we've just had so many wonderful accomplishments here at South that I'm very proud of. So thank you to the South volleyball team. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. The next team that I would like to recognize, and I'm going to ask that all players who are here to come up, is the South Boys Tennis Team. Please come up. South Tennis has had truly an unforgettable and dominant season, one that has solidified their place in school and state history. Members of the team include Rishabh Shekador, Coco Ramasamy, P.D. Dharma, Shreyan Kumar, Karthis Buddha Hidesh, Advaith Praveen, Shritan Gopu, Rohan Ramachandran, Rohit Datta, and Stephen Dang. This talented group of student athletes made history by winning an inaugural CBC tournament, edging out rival Princeton by just minuscule points, half a point, and a thrilling finish that showcased their depth, focus, and competitive spirit. But the victories did not stop there. The team went on to win the Central Group 3 sectional title and then achieved the ultimate honor, capturing the Group 3 state championship, bringing home the coveted title and making WWP South proud. In addition to their postseason success, the team swept through several major invitational tournaments this season, taking home championships at the Brian Bennett Tournament, the Morristown Classic, and the Blue Devil Invitational. Each win was a reflection of their preparation, resilience, and unmatched teamwork. These accomplishments are not only a testament to the players' incredible talent and hard work, but also to the leadership of the coaching staff, the support of their family, and the unwavering school spirit behind them. On a personal note, and I had mentioned this previously, they teased me so much at every single one of their matches at Mercer County Park because I would just be along the sidewalk pacing back and forth, doing laps around the court just because the energy was so high, and every point, every serve meant so much to all of us. I would like to also recognize 3 individuals of this team. First up is Rohan Ramachandran and Shriran Kumar for their remarkable achievement as runner-ups in the NJSIAA Individuals Doubles Tournament. Competing against the top tennis players across the state, Rohan and Shriran displayed exceptional skill, composure, and teamwork throughout the tournament. Their journey to the championship match was marked by fierce competition under high-pressure moments and an undeniable chemistry on the court. Finishing as state finalists is no small feat. It places them among the very best in New Jersey and speaks volume about their dedication to the sport, their commitment to each other, and their ability to rise to the occasion when it matters most. Congratulations. The second individual I would like to recognize is Shritan Gopu. In a program already known for its high standard, Shritan distinguished himself as a true standout, competing at second singles and then eventually third singles and eventually second singles. He was a cornerstone of South's incredible run to the Group 3 state championship, and he did so with consistency, focus, and unwavering competitive spirit. Throughout the season, Shritan racked up an impressive list of victories and came up with big wins that allowed his team to move forward. Examples include in the New Jersey Group 3 finals against Central Jersey finals against North, he can overcome a tough second set and won a deciding tiebreaker 10-3. In Group 3 state finals against Millburn, he once again rallied from behind, turning a 2-6 first set loss into a thrilling 3-6 and a 10-6 comeback victory. These just weren't wins, but they were testaments to his mental toughness and ability to rise to the moment. He has been named the NJ.com Tennis Player of the Year, and it is a reflection of all his hard work and dedication over the course of the season. The last individual I would like to recognize as part of South's tennis team is Coach Rich Arnold, who reached his 300 career win in tennis this season and finishes up the season with 301. Reaching 300 wins is more than just a number. It represents decades of commitment, mentorship, and excellence. Under Coach Arnold's leadership, the Pirates have consistently been one of the premier tennis programs in New Jersey, known for their discipline, sportsmanship, and competitive success. This latest milestone comes during a season that may go down as one of the best in program history, complete with a CBC tournament title sectional and Group 3 state championships and multiple invitational wins. But what makes Coach Arnold's legacy truly special is not just the titles, the trophies, or the team records. It's the countless student athletes he has guided, encouraged, and inspired along the way, and his AD. Coach Arnold has shaped generations of players both on and off the court. His steady leadership, deep knowledge of the game, and dedication to the development of young athletes have made a lasting impact, not only on his players, but on the entire WWP community, as Coach Arnold is also the coach of the North girls team. This tennis team has accomplished so much over the course of the season, and I could not be prouder. Congratulations. If you'd all like to turn around so we can get, oh, no, get pictures. And just watch the court. Congratulations. The last South student athlete that I would like to recognize tonight, who unfortunately is unable to be here, is Bennett Siegel. Bennett has been named Trentonian Baseball Player of the Year. Bennett's career is nothing short of remarkable, a consistent presence in the lineup both since his freshman year. He has reached a major milestone this season, recording his 100th career hits, a rare and celebrated achievement in high school baseball. His 2024-2025 season was his most dominant yet, with a .516 batting average, .78 slugging percentage, 32 hits including 11 for extra bases, 25 runs scored, 12 RBIs, and 5 stolen bases, and an impressive .410 career batting average over 4 years. His contributions went far beyond the stat sheet. He was a leader both on and off the field, the type of players teammates look to in big moments and opponents know that they have to respect. His ability to rise under pressure, paired with sportsmanship and maturity, made him the heart of this year's team. Bennett's journey does not end here. He will be continuing his academic and athletic career at Old Dominion University, where he'll compete at a Division I program. Throughout the course of the year, I have had the opportunity and pleasure to share with all of you the remarkable accomplishments of our student athletes. Thank you for continued support of all of our WWP athletes and coaches, and I look forward to the 25-26 year and being here again to celebrate our athletes at South again. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here this evening to recognize our athletes and their accomplishments throughout the season. I'm Jeff Riley, the Director of Athletics at West Windsor-Plainsboro North, where it's always a great day to be a Knight. And, first of all, I'd like to congratulate our athletes from South. Kate was very kind in not mentioning that the tennis team defeated us in the finals, right? And the volleyball team defeated us in the finals. So, in other words, if they didn't defeat us, we'd be here tonight. But anyways, but we just want to say congratulations. They're both wonderful matches and great games, and it was truly great competition. We are here tonight to recognize our athletes that did some outstanding stuff for us in the spring, and most notably, our spring track and field teams. So first, I'd like to call up our girls track and field team. If you please come up, all representatives here, including Coach Altvader. We had an absolutely outstanding season under the exceptional leadership of Coach Deanna Altvader, who was rightfully named the CVC Girls Track and Field Coach of the Year. The team captured both the Mercer County Championship and the Sectional Championship, which they did in the wintertime as well. A rare and impressive double victory that reflects the depth and strength of the program. Our sectional champions include Afia Apau, Ava Goodrich, Allison Lee, Evelyn Yang, Vivian Ma, Sarah Sikora, Fatima Arastu, Zui Chinchalker, Bria Davis-Owens, Nina Dixit, Mahima Bansal, Ani Sertil, and Aditi Ravuri. These athletes not only dominate at the sectional level, but they continue to excel at the group championships, where Allison Lee earned second place in the 3,200 meters. Zooey Chinchalker placed fourth in the 1,600 meters. Allison's journey didn't stop there. At the prestigious Meet of Champions, she once again delivered a phenomenal performance, taking second place in the 3,200 meters, proving herself as one of the top distance runners in New Jersey. And then at the national level, Allison made history, finishing seventh in the nation in the 5,000 meters with a time of 16:38.27. It was the number one time in the state of New Jersey this year. She was also a key member of the distance medley relay team alongside Zooey Chinchalker, Bria Davis-Owens, and Sarah Sikora, who finished ninth in the nation, setting a school record of 11:55.49, which ranks number 2 in New Jersey overall and number 1 amongst public schools. Congratulations in recognition of being the best team in both the winter and the spring in Mercer County and in our section. Your effort, your hard work throughout the winter and the spring showed, and we can't say enough. Congratulations. Thank you. Your picture. Thank you. Turning to our boys track and field team, we are equally proud to recognize their achievements of the team and Brian Gould, their head coach. Please come on up, all your representatives here tonight. At the Meet of Champions, the 4x800 relay team, Shubhami Allison, Luke Ferrer, Jordan Andrade, and Grim Ja earned fifth-place medals, showing grit and competitiveness at the highest level. Additionally, the distance medley team of Paul Wittenberg, Grim Ja, Shubhami Allison, and Madhav Hadagali earned the honor of competing at the New Balance National Championships, a testament to the talent and discipline these young men bring to the track. What makes these accomplishments truly special is that they are the result of tireless effort, commitment to teammates, and a relentless pursuit of personal and collective goals. These athletes have balanced rigorous training schedules with academic excellence and represent our district with pride and integrity. Thank you. Can you give your picture? Turn around and get your picture. To the Board of Education, thank you for acknowledging our athletes and making this a special thing that we'll continue to do going forward in the future. We look forward to doing it next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you to both our directors of athletics for presenting our spring athletes and their coaches. A lot of wonderful accomplishments. Thank you for representing WWP. And so it is time to move forward with our agenda for the evening. So if you'd like to depart and enjoy the rest of your evening, feel free. If you'd like to stay, we'd love to have you, but we totally get it. So we'll take a couple of minutes to let the crowd disperse before we start our presentation. Well, now that we've effectively cleared the room, the projector is starting to warm up, so I think I can start to, I can introduce our next topic is our special public hearing on harassment, intimidation, and bullying. So I'll ask Dr. Jessica Smedley to provide us the presentation. Take it away.
Thank you. Okay, well, welcome everyone. It's hard to believe we were doing this just about 5 months ago, actually. So I'm here tonight to do our harassment, intimidation, and bullying semi-annual report about reporting period 2 from January through June of 2025, and also go over our HIB self-assessment with the NJDOE rubric. So without further ado, we will also take a look at some data analysis, patterns, and themes we've noticed from the year, specifically from reporting period 2. Talk a little bit about the Culture and Climate Summit, which we were all really excited to have this spring in May. And then, like I said, we'll go over the self-assessment grades. So just a quick warm-up about the definition of HIB, which stands for harassment, intimidation, and bullying. So HIB includes any gesture, written, verbal, or physical act, or any electronic communication, whether it be a single incident or series of incidents. It must be reasonably perceived as being motivated by either an actual or perceived characteristic that takes place on school property, at any school-sponsored function, on a school bus, or off school grounds, and substantially disrupts or interferes with the orderly operation of the school or the rights of other students. Next, we just want to review preliminary determination. So a couple years ago now, we had a change. There was a change in the law, an update to the law, which then we changed in our policy to allow for what's called preliminary determination. So that means that, and I'll just read this, that prior from the law or from our policy, prior to initiating an investigation regarding a reported incident or complaint, the principal or designee, in consultation with the anti-bullying specialist, shall make a preliminary determination as to whether a reported incident or complaint, assuming all facts are presented as true, is a report within the scope of NJSA 18A 37-14. So what this means is that we can choose in the principal or designee in consultation with the anti-bullying specialist and also with me as the anti-bullying coordinator, take a look at the initial facts, and if we don't believe that it meets that 3-prong criteria that I went over in the prior slide, then we would take care of that through other means, and that could be through code of conduct. Also could be that we are doing a restorative practice, that there's not enough there's not enough information reported to continue on with the full HIB investigation. So in reporting period 2, which again represents January 1 to June 30th of 2025, we had 8 total preliminary determinations, with 6 of those being at our 2 middle schools and 2 being in our K through 5 schools. So, and I just want to note again that this doesn't mean that these situations aren't being addressed. Anytime anyone tells us that they're having an issue or a concern, we certainly take that report seriously. It just means that there isn't either is not enough evidence to support the full HIB investigation, or it's a straight conduct referral and it's dealt with through the code of conduct and our student handbooks. And usually in these preliminary determinations, there are remedial measures, even if it's not to continue on with the investigation, and that can look like counseling, peer mediation, and restorative conversations. Okay. In reporting period 2, we had a total of 84 incidents or reports. 43 of those were to be founded, so representing 48.8% of all total reported incidents, and 41 were found to be unfounded or inconclusive. Inconclusive generally means that there just wasn't enough evidence to support, again, that 3-prong approach, but there was enough information to conduct the full investigation. Next, we have HIB investigations by grade band. So again, we have total incidents in our K through 5 schools. We had 47 In grades 6 through 8, 19, and in grades 9 through 12, 18. So K through 5, 56%, 6 through 8 was 22.6%, and grades 9 through 12 was 21.4%. And when we take a look at our data to analyze kind of where are we seeing these things happen, we take a look at what's happening, or our reports by location. So I have the percentages up here, but I'll give you the raw numbers. So our cell phone, via cell phone, so that could be through texting, it could be through an app, it could be through social media, there were 5 incidents reported. The school bus was 11 incidents, the playground 7, other, so one that's not named 3, the classroom 33, 1 internet, so that could be not the phone, but again, some of those same sites and platforms I mentioned, 14 in the lunchroom, and 10 in the hallway. And I'll come back to this when we talk a little bit about trends. But we can see, and I like to point out that there are a large chunk of our pie here, the orange section, 39.3%, are in the classroom. That typically comes because another peer overhears something, or a teacher, especially in our K through 5, often the adults are the people creating the report. And so that's often a teacher or an instructional assistant, or even a parent volunteer, someone who sees something in the classroom that we need to investigate a little bit further. We also see a lot of unstructured time, sort of cumulative is still more than the classroom. Okay, then we look at what are the distinguishing characteristics. So this slide outlines the distinguishing characteristics that were cited in the incidents this reporting period. So most common were race, ethnicity, and appearance, each with over 20 incidents attributed to them. So these patterns are consistent with national data, that these are the areas that not only in our district, but in the state and across, well, we'll talk specifically about the state since it's a New Jersey law, that we kind of fit right in with what's typical. So here we have, so race, ethnicity, we had 22 incidents. Next highest was appearance at 20. And we see on here too, not identifiable is the 22. Those are generally represented by the ones that were found to be unfounded, because this having a distinguishing characteristic is one of the prongs to demonstrate that you have a founded incident of HIB. So again, it's inclusive of all of our investigations. And then our other category, where we had 7, is most commonly socioeconomic status and somewhat more specific physical appearance, so body size versus appearance that could be, and this is up sort of in the eye of the investigator, so a slur or a use of like you're ugly could be an appearance. It also could be in the other category, so that's what represents other. And we had nothing in ancestry this reporting period. Our month-by-month analysis, we continue to trend about the same as we have been over the past several years. We tend to see, you see March has 23.8% of our, which is the highest. Personally and anecdotally, and having done this, been in this role for 15 years, 2 here in WWP, but several in prior districts, is that's the month before spring break. And so we tend to have, sometimes we have days off in March, this year we did, but we tend to have a pretty long stretch of time between President's Weekend and spring break, which can sort of amp up some of these behaviors. We get a little antsy for those breaks, need a little break from each other, and so that trends as well. The other place, the other time of year that we tend to see a slight increase is October, and I know I talked about that the last time I presented, and some of that is because we're settled into school, and so some of the newness wears off, or we're getting to know people better, starting to get into group projects, more unstructured time together, but it's also the Anti-Bullying Month and Violence Awareness Week, and so we're also messaging a lot more in the month of October, so that can also tend to increase, like when kids hear things, they tend to maybe want to talk about it, or they might report because it's something that is fresh in their mind. Okay, so talking about some patterns and trends. So we had 92 total reports. Again, 41 were to be founded or were founded, 43 unfounded with 8 preliminary determinations. Most frequent motivations, race, appearance, and disability is another one that goes into that category. It can be in other, it can also be in appearance, because if you think about what sort of slurs are used with that, it's up to the person doing the report to sort of figure out and put it into a category. So we see common locations. We did have the most in classrooms, but when you add up all the unstructured time, it still actually is more than the structured time. And so we see that lunchrooms. Lunchroom also in our reporting, because of what we can report, includes playground. So that's another unstructured time. School buses, and then hallways, recess, that kind of thing. This spring, the majority of our incidents were in the K-5 grade band. And as we might expect, our middle school cases had some more complex pieces to it. It's unsurprising to me that that's also where we have a higher number of preliminary determinations, because the conflict is more common, and they're developmentally are really stuck in that teen time that we need to do a lot of peer mediation. So that, again, sometimes looks like what the preliminary determination leads to is doing a peer mediation instead of a HIB investigation. We were pretty steady in volume. Like I said, slight uptick in March, slight uptick in April into May. I'm not sure what that was about. We saw it specifically. Some of them were started right before spring break, and then we had a little bubble right after spring break at the end of April. So that was interesting. It was actually something that some of our teams looked at the Culture and Climate Summit relative to what else was happening. But I do like to keep everyone grounded in our incidents, and these, when we think about the topic, generally tends to follow what's happening outside of the walls of our school and outside the borders of our community, and matches what's happening in our state, in our nation, and in our world. Okay. All right. So I'm going to move on to the school self-assessment for determining grades. And so this is another annual report we do. So the anti-bullying specialists, who are all school counselors and student assistance counselors in our buildings, each of our buildings has a school climate and culture team, or climate and safety team. And they meet regularly, and once a year perform a self-assessment of how things are going. And that includes everything from what kind of programming are we providing that's proactive and immediately intervention related, and then also relates to, they also score on, did everyone get training? That includes staff, parent volunteers, bus drivers, all of our related service people. And then what are they doing to improve and take a look at school climate? So each indicator has a maximum of 3 points. This is the rubric here. So does not meet requirements is 0 points, partially meets requirement 1 point, meets all requirements 2 points, and exceeds requirements 3 points. So the maximum school grade is 78 points, and we were very close. Our average was in the high 70s. And like I said, that is determined by each school. So the rubric contains 8 core elements used as a guide in assigning school and grades. It's a means to educate our school staff on best practices. So it's actually basically an annual audit of how are we doing with meeting all the requirements, in our case, we exceed in most areas, exceeding the requirements of the law. And on these teams, we have representatives from, it was developed through a panel of experts and in conjunction with the state several years ago. These scores relate to the entire school year. So my data in the first part of the presentation was really focused on January through June, but when they do their self-assessment, that's a once a year task, so they take a look at the inclusive school year. Okay, and here's our score by element. So core element number 1 is HIB programs, approaches, and other initiatives. And we scored 14.7 out of 15 across average school score across all of our schools. Core element 2 is training on the BOE approved HIB policy. So that we got a 9 out of 9. That usually includes we always have our Board of Education attorney educate our faculty, our teams specifically, all of our administrators. So that's an annual event. And then we take that training and turnkey it to all the rest of our staff. So through faculty meetings, through department meetings, grade level meetings. And we also I run a monthly meeting for all of the anti-bullying specialists where we talk about trends and what's happening, and specifically with regards to consistency in investigative procedures. So that's also included in that training. Core element number 3 is other staff instruction and training programs. So these are some of our other software programs we use to do this training, looking at the trends, having GCN training available to all of our staff. And so we scored a 13.9 out of 15 on average. Core element number 4 is curriculum and instruction on HIB and related information and skills. So this is where we see where we've embedded more education about the prevention of bullying, harassment, and intimidation into our school curriculum. So we were a 6 out of 6 on that area. Our core element number 5, HIB personnel. This means that we have trained staff members in all of our buildings. We've done all of our thorough training, both turnkey and in the schools, and also with students. So this means pushing into classrooms, doing lessons, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a little bit. So that is for personnel. It also means that we have an ABS, an anti-bullying specialist, and an anti-bullying coordinator assigned, which we do. Core element number 6 is the school level HIB incident reporting procedure. We scored 5.9 out of 6 for that. Core element number 7 is our HIB investigation procedure, and this is up actually in the self-assessments from over last year from 11, and it is 11.7 out of 12. And I would credit that taking a look at those and having now a second year of these monthly meetings where we really take a look at, are we all filling out the paperwork the same way? Are we handling from the minute we get knowledge that there is a report filed to our time following up, to having the conclusion and making sure that all families are aware of the restorative practices, any disciplinary measures, and any follow-up that's necessary. And finally, core element number 8 is about HIB reporting. So that we use a software system called Hibster to track that. So we're able to have take a look at our own data analytics. And so we scored a 6 out of 6 in that area. Okay. So just a little bit about our trainings, programs, and initiatives. We continue to have a lot of different initiatives, and HIB kind of touches a lot of our several of our strategic goals, and so that work is embedded in this as well. This year we did the New Jersey Sky, or the School Climate Initiative survey, to our students in grades 3 through 12. And so we did a lot of work in our teams at the school level, principals setting goals with their climate and safety teams, and being able to share that with students and staff throughout the year. We continue to do SEL strategic goal work and the CASTLE framework, which is a lot of that prevention, building empathy, and creating sense of belonging in our schools is really important to us. Professional development and training, that goes from everything from these other areas to the actual straight HIB requirements. We continue to have a strong mental health and counseling staff here in WWP, and finally, our HIB student training. And these are some of our proactive approaches to bullying prevention. So we have several, or the ones that were on the slide prior, but in addition, we partner with PTSA for events and to talk about these things, make sure that our families understand how to report, if you see something, say something, and just work together in community. I talked about our monthly meetings. We do take a look. We rely heavily on the data of what's happening and what we're doing, and try to do a gap analysis so that when we plan for future years, we can take a look at what else do we need to add in. This year, we were able to train several dozen of our teachers in Nurtured Heart, which is an approach that we were actually able to bring the training in through what's called the Dreams Grant, which the board approved last summer at this meeting, which is really a proactive, restorative approach that can be used in the classroom. It's also used in homes and taught to families and caretakers. So our next level of work with that is to be able to train more families and caretakers. We're looking forward to more about that, and I think probably at some point in the not too distant future, Ms. Totero and I will probably be presenting on some of that related to Goal 3 work. We also have looked at what are we doing in tiered behavior support. So as we continue to grow our multi-tiered system of support teams in each of our school, taking a look at what are we doing for students who need behavior supports, who maybe have had incidents of HIB either as an offender or a victim, and oftentimes it's both. And so what are we doing? And so that the MTSS team provides another opportunity for a multidisciplinary team of adults to talk about what would be helpful to our students who have needs in this area. Okay, so we have some pictures. I didn't get Dr. Adderhold to sign a release for his photo, but I didn't think he'd mind. Everybody else is from the back. So we had our annual Culture and Climate Summit on May 28th. We had about 70 people in this room, and that consisted of our school safety and climate and safety teams, which is inclusive in the grades 6 through 12, also of students. So there were about a half a dozen students that came. We had administrators, the anti-bullying specialists, teacher representatives, and parent representatives at these teams. And so this year's focus was really taking a look at, the board had just written the statement on DEI. And so Dr. Adderhold came and explained to this group kind of why you did that and why that was important, and really helped all of our students and staff and family and caretakers who were there that day understand how talking about climate and culture and harassment, intimidation, and bullying fits into the wider objectives of the school. He also gave us really good information. I feel like I learned a lot that day about some of the political scene and executive orders and even how things were working and happening at the time. And I believe something had actually just been introduced that week, so it was extremely timely. The engagement was super high in the room, and it was the perfect way to sort of frame for our teams what they need to do, kind of like who we are, what we stand for, and what does that mean for what you're doing as teams, and what does that mean for activities, support, and again, cultivating that sense of belonging in each one of our schools. We also heard from Ms. Totero about district-wide trends within the school, the NJ Sky, the climate survey, and so that also helps set up district-wide. What are we looking at? Again, broad strokes, but what does that mean? What do each school want to do with that to plan for their activities for next year? So we kind of look at what are we doing, what have we done, take that inventory. These teams, this is one of two, the Climate and Culture Summit is one of two district-wide meeting days in the year that we, which is a compliance piece they have to meet at least twice a year. So one of them is the summit. Most of our schools meet monthly with their teams, but we have to have at least two. So we bring everybody together for this one and really take a look. We look at the HIB data, so what's happening. They take a look at those trends at the school level versus what I've presented tonight at the district level. We also had some opportunity for our teams to work together. So the whole K-5 team worked together. We had the 6-8 team working together. So there's slight differences in school to school, and some of that just depends on the number of students in the school. It's really not that much different when you disaggregate the data. And then our high school teams also met together. I think that was really powerful for our students too, to be able to hear what's happening in other schools. And sometimes we think things look really different, and when you get down and you really take a look at the nitty gritty, it's actually very similar. And then I'm happy to share, kind of to conclude things, what these teams came up with. So we gave them about an hour to take a look at and do their celebrations, and also kind of what they see, given the data and what happened this year, where do they see us going for next year? So just briefly run through these. So continued focus, by and large, on SEL. So in grades K through 8, we use the second step SEL program that's led by our school counselors. We're excited to have at one of our elementary schools piloting the sort of expansion of that into classrooms, and also with our responsive classroom training, as more of our teachers are trained in that area, blending some of those different SEL activities and strategies together. We also use zones of regulation, which is really just all about emotional regulation. That's used in classrooms. It's used heavily by our occupational therapists and speech therapists, our school counselors. So kind of bringing that, infusing that more into everyone's everyday. So those are our tier 1 support. So we're going to continue those. A lot of our schools also have a monthly focus. So they pick either a character theme or a monthly focus. I think one thing that came across loud and clear in reading each school's slide and their notes from the day and their goal statements for next year is really trying to build, strengthen peer relationships and cultivating that sense of belonging. So you can see in the results from their work that they picked up on what Dr. Adderhold and Ms. Totero were sharing about what we are all doing together as a school community. A lot of excitement around that, intentionality around lessons on empathy, respect, inclusion. Also using common language, that was a theme, is how are we talking about conflict resolution? So, and that comes up particularly as we are now going into our second year with Second Step, and to have, as we're growing the number of students who speak that language, one of the core elements of the Second Step program is problem solving. So how are we using our problem solving skills, building that into peer mediation so that the students have the skills to do that with each other, hopefully in the hopes of preventing some of the incidents that we end up investigating. In terms of creating kind of more inclusive, like whole community inclusive environments, there were several schools that talked about having bus families connecting kind of like what's happening in the community and the neighborhood with what's happening in school. So, and creating positive reinforcement. More community and family engagement. So we have PTA, PTSA events, inclusive read-alouds, inclusive programming in general. So at the secondary level, we have the United program, but how can we do things with our peers to make sure that everyone feels like they have a place and that they belong? We were really excited to see the number of, I think if I let them have as many slides as they wanted to, the high schools probably could have kept going for another hour and a half after our summit ended. But we have so many affinity groups, student panels, and students teaching teachers is really a way for students to give their feedback and feel like they are in control of things in their school, and that helping their teachers and other staff understand them. And that also happens through advisory committees. And then finally, everyone's always super proud. It gets a little competitive at the share out at the summit about everyone's Spirit Weeks, activities, recognitions, and how to just create that positive spirit that also makes school a place that everyone wants to be, everyone belongs, and just cultivates that that safe and supportive school environment. So we're really excited for the upcoming school year. And finally, I'd just like to close with our district mission we are committed to providing all students with a safe learning environment that is free from harassment, intimidation, and bullying. We adhere to the New Jersey Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights. We are committed to training all of our staff to identify, report, and address HIB, proactively engaging educating caregivers, students, and Board of Education members, and establishing positive school communities, HIB expectations, and a commitment to safety and respectful behavior. So, that's it.
Thank you, Dr. Smedley.
You're welcome.
Any questions or comments from the board for Dr. Smedley? Lloyd?
Thank you, Dr. Smedley. It's always very interesting to hear your report. I was just curious because I noticed that, I guess before COVID, when I remember hearing these reports, the incidents or the investigation numbers were always higher for like middle school and high school. And I would think post-COVID, I think I mentioned this before, that the numbers would go down, especially with preliminary determination being, but it still looks like the K-5 at 56%. Is the breakdown in terms of founded incidences, this correlates, the pie chart that you have, the same for K-5? Is there like a separate?
It does not. I don't have that like off the top of my head,
Yeah.
but there are fewer founded incidents at the K-5 level than there are at 6 through 12. Middle school will always, I think, always be our anecdotally at least, or in my
founded.
experience, it's just the most incidents in general, especially when you take a look at the whole year. And unsurprising also for preliminary determinations, because it's the first time, we do see some students reporting on their own a K-5, but it's pretty rare. And so when you hit middle school, that's when you get not just mom, dad, caretaker making that report, or a teacher or other staff member making a report. The students report on their own. So, and they often go to their counselors, their teachers, trusted staff members, who then will make the report. So that's where we see a little bit of a bubble.
Hey, thanks, Lloyd. Go ahead, Pooja.
Thank you again for the presentation. Just looking at the slide, founded incidents of HIB, distinguishing characteristics.
Yes.
Could you explain again the difference between no identifiable and other?
So no identifiable characteristic would be that it's generally a report of something that isn't founded. So it could be essentially like there's a straight code of conduct violation. Like, for example, a student hit another student. That's all that happened. And so it got reported through HIB. And so we had to run through that investigation, but it wasn't found to be founded because there was, upon investigation and interviewing everyone involved, there wasn't something that happened to create the hitting or that the hitting occurred that had anything to do with any of these distinguishing characteristics, if that makes sense. So, but it's all in there because we're talking total investigations. Other is, again, in the eye of the beholder, because I know sometimes with race versus ethnicity versus national origin, I think sometimes that can be, you're really taking a look at, it's based on impact, not on intent. So different words and name calling and slurs mean different things to different people. And so we know that it happened, but it may not fit in the investigators if they put other, and if they think it's other instead of appearance. So, for example, I think probably the easiest one is if someone calls someone else fat, that could be appearance. It could also be other.
Thank you.
Sure.
Dana?
Thanks again for the presentation. You may have said this, but I guess want to hear it again. So how many of these HIB incidents, like how do they compare to other similar districts? Like, do we have any data like that?
We don't take a look at this point. So typically we're in line, well within line of everyone else. What happens with these, with the self-assessment and even the total incidents, they are reported yearly. And so the trends, we really are a couple years behind to look at everybody else's data because we submit everything. Actually, it's all due to the state on Thursday. But then they take time to review it all, accept it all, and then it's published and publicly available on the state performance report. So we put it in the Student Safety Data System, the SSDS, which is part of our plethora of New Jersey reporting requirements annually. So the publicly available information is generally 18 months to 2 years behind. So up to the point that we have publicly available information, I would say we trend in the same averages as other school districts, but we don't have live, like they haven't released the performance reports, correct me if I'm wrong, for last year yet, right? They're usually like, or they just did. So that's like, you're always a little bit behind. Sure.
Go ahead, Liz.
Thank you also for the presentation. So I heard the words belonging a lot during the presentation, which was very positive and encouraging, more so than hearing like diversity and those other types of words. How do you communicate that and work with students at different age levels to, expand upon what it means to belong to a group or in the school community? How do you support that? And also, the second question I had was, how do you create like processes to help ensure that the kids understand at their age level what their actions may have been, going to your point about impact versus intent?
Sure. So little bit of the same response to both parts of your question. So we are in classrooms a lot messaging to students about what, again, in the student training, what this means for them. I think for the first part about belonging, it starts with some teaching about empathy for others, understanding other people's viewpoints, and even starting at the basics of what makes you want to come to school. What do you think makes other people want to come to school? It was how we sort of started from our earliest learners, using our other programming like Second Steps, certainly a responsive classroom with our daily meetings that the teachers run, up through announcements, message boards, clubs and activities for our secondary students. We're always trying to create an environment where if you get involved, you want to come to school, and a lot of overt messaging on we want our schools, we want every person to feel safe and secure at school, because when you do, and when you are, and you know that people will be kind to you, you're going to be kind to other people, and that's what makes us want to come here and be together every day. So I think it's a lot of overt messaging, a lot of, there's didactic teaching involved, but also our time that we just spend together making connections. I think what comes before feeling that you belong is feeling like you're connected to people. So that could also look like students who, or even families who might report to us that their child doesn't feel like they know anybody or they don't have any friends at school. One of the ways that we talk, and coming attraction for our parent webinar coming up on Friday, I'll just advertise about going to middle school, that I'll be doing with Karen Abrams and Lindsay Linebarger, is how do you getting involved and getting engaged in both learning, classroom learning, curricular learning, but also our extracurriculars, and practicing being a good human being helps cultivate that. And so that's really the messaging that we do. Did I get everything, or did I not get your second part?
No, you did.
Okay.
You did. I just had like something similar. So when I've gone to some of the school events, to help out at whatever it is, I've noticed like in the cafeteria, the lunch times could be one of those times when students can feel like alone. They're sitting by themselves at a table, or, not having someone to engage with. Are there things that could be done to help those kind of students where the adults are observing that someone is by themselves, to be more proactive, to ensure that they have this like lunch buddy or whatever it is, just putting it out there, especially at the middle school level? I think it could be very lonely. So. It
can, and one of the things that we try to do is watch for that, and we rely on. Actually, our students are some of the best reporters of that. So in training, like our peer ambassadors, our peer leaders in middle school and high school, is to take a look at who needs support. And so we try to build a support network for those students. Our school counselors run new student groups, so it can be a lot. I mean, obviously, when we go to middle school, our mixing happens so much more. So there's a lot of people who are meeting a lot of new people. But it can also be much harder if you're coming from a different community. Even if maybe you lived here a few years ago and your family left and you came back, our counselors, our child study team members, and our administrators are on the lookout for that to make personal connections, to try to draw students together. And I think our teaching staff and our teachers and other staff who run extracurricular programs, whether those are stipended or not stipended, our athletic program certainly is inviting students to those things. So, just making sure that they know. And I think that also relates pretty heavily to how we communicate. So one of the things that we're hoping to do with our middle school parent navigating the climb, we're calling it, sort of parent orientation is how do you engage so that you know what's going on? So because we know parents and caregivers know their children the best. So make sure you know how are the teachers spreading information? How do they get announcements? And again, try to find something. There's so many different ways to get involved and engage and meet one person. And there's also a lot of power in having, another thing we do, especially at middle school, is quality over quantity. So how do you, and building trusting relationships with our peers. And that is a core skill of adolescence. And so we have to do a lot. We do a lot on the back end of that because we know they're just learning. We don't expect anybody to come to school and just know how to be a great citizen, and a great friend. It's like teaching the empathy, look around. If you see something, you see someone's not being treated right, or you see someone alone, let us know. Help, step up to the plate. We have so many students who love to be student leaders and peer leaders that I think we're really lucky to have that. It's about making the connections. But your point is well taken. I think taking a look and helping these kids identify that there's a lot of opportunity. Yeah.
Other questions? Oh, Ajanta, go ahead.
Thank you so much for the presentation. It's super informative. As you're looking at all these different data sets and you're aggregating data sort of historically, are there sort of any outliers or any trends that you've noticed that you're either planning for next year or just something that has some sort of anomaly from year to year?
I didn't see anything that was an outlier. I think one thing that has improved over the past few years, so I mentioned the change of preliminary determination as part of the updates from a few years ago. So they were actually changed in July of 2022. And so we just went through our second full year of having those changes and having a consistent reporting form that we had one always, but the state has one specific form. And so I think that has been helpful. It's in the same place for all students. It's still available in paper format if people want it, but that's one thing we noticed even from anecdotally, but also in taking a look at data from other places like emails, other conduct incidents, because occasionally, and what we were finding before we had that consistent form and even talking as the anti-bullying team about what you're doing school to school, some things we're going to conduct first, and we really need to be running a HIB investigation side by side. So I think that's one trend that I've noticed has improved. I feel like we are a lot tighter about that. It's also really helpful to talk as a team once a month because there's a little bit more there's sharing, it's almost like a peer supervision opportunity of what would you do in this circumstance? What have you, we had one like that last year, so this is what we did. In terms of incidents, I would say the only real trend, I don't really feel like there's outliers. I think that we continue to match what's happening in the rest of the world. So what you hear, if you look at incidents by type, by month, and this has been quite a last 10 months, year, week, day, whatever we want to name. And so our data follows right along, right about a week behind any major news comes the HIB matching it.
Speaking of data, I love how data-driven this all is. So my question has to do with one of the things you talked about was the average scores for some of the core elements like HIB reporting. So I wondered in trying to calculate that score, is it based on, is there a quote-unquote healthy number of HIB reporting by number of students, by grade level, to come to that number? And I asked that in the way I relate it to, say, like the corporate world, where there's like compliance and ethics reporting, whereby depending on the number of employees in an organization, a certain number of reports is a good thing, because 0 would mean the system for reporting is not working. And too many, of course, there's some bigger issues at hand. So is there some kind of formula like that for?
There is not. So they're primarily questions around compliance. And so again, that meets versus exceeds. So it's more, it's not quantitative actually at all.
Okay.
It's qualitative. And it doesn't relate, the only number they ask for on that self-assessment report is whether the district has in their policy for the preliminary determinations and how many preliminary determinations by school. So other than that, it's really not that. It's more taking a look at, and I think our increase in number, I don't think the number of actual reported incidents, I mean, we've trended down since we've tightened some of this stuff up to take a look at the preliminary determinations. But by and large, we're still looking at everything that gets reported as HIB. Our preliminary determinations are low, given our population. So I feel confident saying we're looking at things. And I think there's other qualitative and anecdotal information that comes back through our assistant superintendent, former deputy superintendent meeting with families, Dr. Adderhold meeting with families who have had an experience on either side of a HIB investigation, and how that gets resolved. What questions, do you still have questions that remain? We have a pretty tight procedure in place that in terms of like sort of like a due process, that if you're not satisfied or you have more questions about what happened in the school investigation, I'm a resource. Now Ms. Sincato is going to be a resource, and Dr. Adderhold continues to be a resource that, we haven't had, well, I think another good anecdotal piece is that you have not had an appeal to you, which to me says that we're taking care of addressing family and caretaker concerns.
Excellent. Oh, that's great, because then you can kind of dive in deeper beyond these superficial numbers.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so
You're
much for the
welcome.
presentation.
Sure. All right.
All right.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Awesome. Now we can move on to the special opportunity for public comment on harassment, intimidation, and bullying. The board invites thoughts and reactions on the district's semi-annual report of harassment, intimidation, and bullying from members of our community who are present. Each participant is asked to give her name and address prior to making a statement. Each comment should be directed to the presiding officer, not individual members of the board, and must be made in accordance with the procedures and 3-minute time limit set forth in Board Policy 0167. This public comment period shall be limited to 10 minutes. Seeing none, I'll close this special public comment portion and ask for a motion to approve and accept the January 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2025 District Semi-Annual Report of Harassment, Intimidation, and Bullying as required by the New Jersey State Department of Education under the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act, and verify that the school district and school grade report issued by the New Jersey Department of Education was reviewed as required by the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act, and that this report was posted on the district's website pursuant to NJSA 18A 17-46. Liz and Shweta, any questions or concerns? Okay, now we can do a roll call.
Okay. Ms. George Tenera,
Yes.
Ms. Krug,
Yes.
Ms. Maliga,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Shetty,
Yes.
Ms. Bonsall,
Yes.
and Ms. McEwen.
Yes. Now, that means we can adjourn this special public hearing on harassment, intimidation, and bullying and move to the first opportunity for public comments. The board invites thoughts and reactions on agenda items and items of concern from members of our community who are present. Each participant is asked to give his or her name and address prior to making a statement, which will be limited to 3 minutes in accordance with Board Policy 0167. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. This public comment period shall be limited to 60 minutes. And seeing none, I will close this public comment period and move on to committee reports. So I'll ask Dana for a report on administration and facilities.
Okay, good evening. The A&F committee met on July 23rd. The committee reviewed the newly mandated suntan lotion policy. The committee recommends the first reading this evening, which grants students the ability to utilize sunscreen and sun protective equipment without requiring documentation from a physician or other licensed healthcare professional. The committee recommends that the policy grants district administrators the ability to create restrictions on specific types of sunscreen use that may be deemed harmful to students with asthma or other respiratory ailments or a nuisance to students or staff. Next, the committee discussed the data regarding the number of students currently on the Maurice Hawk, Millstone River, Grover, South Sending Path. The committee plans to revisit this conversation and sending path during this upcoming school year. For now, the committee recommends the district maintain the current sending path, knowing the district has an exemption process, which caregivers can complete if they request to attend a school not in the outlined sending pathway. The committee was informed that the district schools are continuing with their yearly update of school handbooks, and this WWP, for the first time, has a student representative representing the district at the national level for Student Council, serving as the New Jersey State Representative. The committee reviewed the district nursing services plan for the 2025-2026 school year that supports student health services and emergency management. The final spring and full year athletic participation numbers were shared with the committee. Spring high school athletic participants will be honored. They were already honored at tonight's meeting, and a preview of the 2025-2026 fall season will be shared at our next committee meeting. The committee also reviewed 7 job descriptions, including Director of Data, Community Education Program Coordinator, Supervisor of K-5 Language Arts, Supervisor of K-5 Mathematics, Supervisor of Curriculum and Instruction, Supervisor of Accounts and Payroll Supervisor were shared with the committee. The committee recommends these job descriptions for approval on tonight's agenda. The committee will next meet on August 19th. Thanks.
Thank you, Graylin. The Curriculum Committee met on July 15th. We first discussed district professional development. Dr. Gould highlighted the topics and opportunities for professional learning available during the administrative retreat, which will be held the week of August 12th. Next, the committee discussed and previewed the wonderful professional development opportunities available to educators through the TCNJ Teachers as Scholars Partnership. On the agenda for approval this evening, we have several items. First, evaluation instruments. The committee recommends approval of the 4 that I'm about to mention. First, the Charlotte Danielson Framework for Teaching 2013 as the evaluation instrument for all certified staff except administrators. The New Jersey Principal Evaluation for Professional Learning as the evaluation instrument for administrators. The highly effective option and the alternative evaluations rubric are being used as part of the evaluations process as well for highly effective teachers. And the Charlotte Danielson Framework for Teaching 2022 as the evaluation instrument for all certified staff, I think new teachers as well, except administrators. Next, technology. The committee recommends approval of a 1-year agreement with We Video to provide 6,000 licenses from July 1st of this year through June 30th of 2026 at a cost not to exceed $21,000. And another 1-year agreement with, Brain Pop to provide school-wide access for grades K-8 from December 9th of 2025 through December 8th of 2026 at a cost not to exceed $27,084. Moving on to professional development, the committee recommends approval of a couple of professional development. The first, Foundation for Educational Administration to provide mentoring management services for new administrators in the district at a cost of about $850 each. The district also agrees to reimburse new administrators for the cost of their mentor at $1,500 for the first year and $1,000 for the second year. Next, 3 teachers and 1 administrator per session to participate in the Rider University Science Education and Literacy Center's NGSS Assessment Professional Learning Workshop Series during the 25-26 school year at a total group cost of $300 plus mileage. And then we have for 2 district mathematics interventionists to attend iCoach Team Institute Conference in Chicago from August 3rd of this year. August 3rd to August 8th of 2025, not to exceed $900 per person, including travel. Next, professional development consultants. The committee recommends approval of for language and literacy associates for multilingual and multicultural education, LLC, to present 3 days of professional development to district teachers during the 25-26 school year at a cost not to exceed $9,000, including travel. And second, entering into an agreement with American Institutes of Research Center on multi-tiered systems of support to provide on-site and virtual training for district employees from July 2025 through June 2026, not to exceed $16,600. Next, professional contracts. The committee recommends approval of first, the district's membership in Professional Development School Network at TCNJ for the 25-26 school year at a cost of $3,750. Membership includes registration for 1 staff member in each of the Teachers as Scholars seminar. The second one is a district membership in Teachers as Scholars at Princeton University for the upcoming school year at a cost of $2,160. Membership includes 21 professional development days at Teachers as Scholars seminars. And then the third professional contract is we recommend approval of entering into an agreement with Propio Language Services to provide professional translation services for the upcoming school year in all languages for a total amount not to exceed $10,000. Next, for community education programming, the committee recommends approval of the fall 2025 adult youth after-school enrichment programs through community ed which are listed in tonight's agenda. And then we have field trips. The committee recommends approval for the WWP United Cheerleaders to the National Conference Championship in Orlando, Florida from February 4th through February 9th of 2026, and the cost of the trip is approximately $1,200 per student. And then last but not least, committee recommends approval of 1 administrator to Taipei, Taiwan as a guest of the Ministry of Education and the Taiwan Economic and Cultural Office from November 1st through November 8th of this year, total cost not to exceed $300. The committee will next meet on Tuesday, August 12th.
Thanks, Lloyd. Any questions, comments? All right, next I'll invite Ajanta for finance.
All right. So the Finance Committee met on July 22nd. We reviewed the following agenda, the review of the agenda items. So the committee reviewed the monthly financial reports. The administration confirmed that there are no major accounts that are overexpended and that there are sufficient funds available to complete the year. Additionally, the committee reviewed the following motions on the agenda for approval. Approve an increase in the bid threshold from $44,000 to $53,000 in accordance with state guidance. Approve cooperative purchases exceeding the bid limit, including HVAC installation funded through capital reserve, installation of a new combi oven funded through food services, new furniture installation funded through IDEA, and a new AV equipment installation funded through technology funds. The approval of the disposal of obsolete equipment. Approve correction to the cost of an aid from a previously approved bus route. Approve the cancellation of 1 to from school transportation quote and the awarding of a new quote for summer activities related school transportation, and approve staff professional development and travel expenses. The 24-25 end of year rollover and audit. The business office is in the process of closing out the current fiscal year with the rollover into the new school year scheduled for Monday. The annual audit is set to begin during the second week of August. Although this is later than previous years, there remains sufficient time to complete the audit before the statutory deadline. Merit goals. The administration shared that there will be a motion in the agenda to submit for merit goals for the 2025-26 fiscal year. Transportation was discussed during the section 1 of reviewed agenda items. Cafeteria. The 2025-26 food service management contract was approved by the New Jersey Department of Agriculture. There were 5 additional serving days in June 2025 compared to June 24. Therefore, the monthly number of lunches served is not directly comparable. On an annual basis, the number of breakfasts served increased while the number of lunches served decreased. The proportion of lunch served to students eligible for free, reduced, and or NJ income eligible programs remains steady all year at 34%. Similarly, 83% of the breakfasts that were served to students were in these categories, a figure that was also consistent. We discussed a number of construction updates. So ESIP 2, all existing classroom air conditioning units and accompanying shelves have been removed from Maurice Hawk, and installation of the new units is underway. The new boilers will be delivered to the village boiler room in preparation for installation. The scheduling of the crane for the rooftop units at Maurice Hawk and Grover Middle School is currently under review. Summer projects. The flooring installation in the foyer at Grover Middle School is progressing well. Additionally, the concrete work in the school's entrance has been completed. Flooring replacement is also underway at various locations throughout the district. The installation of new cooler boxes at both Town Center and Millstone River School is also progressing smoothly. Other business, the committee also discussed the following. Aetna has committed to a 0% administrative renewal rate for dental coverage through December 31st, 2027, with a 3% increase effective January 1, 2028. On July 9th, the district sold 57 solar renewable energy certificates and 21 New Jersey Class 1 solar renewable energy certificates, generating a total of $11,459.25. The next meeting will be held on August 19th.
Thanks, Ajanta. Any questions or comments? Nope. Okay, so that takes us to the voting portion of our meeting. Can I get a motion for administration items numbers 1 through 10? Dana and Liz, questions or comments?
Okay. Ms. Krug,
Yes.
Ms. George Genera,
Yes.
Ms. Maliga,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Shetty,
Yes.
Ms. Bonsall, and Ms. McEwen.
Yes. Can I get a motion for curriculum and instruction items numbers 1 through 11? Loy and Pooja. Any questions or comments?
Okay. Ms. Maliga,
Yes.
Ms. Bonsall,
Yes.
Ms. Shetty,
Yes.
Ms. George Genera,
Yes.
Ms. Krug,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. Shaw,
Yes.
and Ms. McEwen.
Yes. Can I get a motion for finance items numbers 1 through 21? Ajanta and Paul, any questions or comments?
Okay. Ms. Shaw,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. George Genera,
Yes.
Ms. Krug,
Yes.
Ms. Maliga,
Yes.
Ms. Shetty,
Yes.
Ms. Bonsall,
Yes.
and Ms. McEwen.
Yes. Can I get a motion for personnel items numbers 1 through 4, plus the green, pink, and yellow addenda, the yellow one having a verbal addition at the end of the very last sentence to add with no back pay? Shweta and Loy. Any questions or comments?
Okay. Ms. Shetty,
Yes.
Ms. Maliga,
Yes.
Ms. George Genera, Ms. Krug,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Ms. Shaw,
Yes.
Ms. Bonsall,
Yes.
and Ms. McEwen.
Yes. Before we move on, I'd like to recognize a couple of retirements from the district. First is Donna Swern, District Secretary, who is retiring after 25 and a half years at WWP, as well as Beth Fitzpatrick, the Health and Physical Education teacher at High School South, who is retiring after 26 years in the district. Thank you so much for your years of service to WWP, and lots of congratulations on your retirement. Enjoy. Best of luck. And then, so now we'll move on to approval of Board of Education minutes. So can I get a motion to approve minutes from June 24th with one verbal correction on the June 24th meeting minutes? Ajanta was listed as present, but she was happily away that week. Shweta and Liz, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any abstentions?
Yes, I also abstain.
Perfect, thank you. Do we have any board liaison reports this evening? Nope. Any new business? Go ahead, Dr. Adhold.
I just wanted to note that this evening, as the board adopted the evaluation frameworks, that one of the adoptions is the highly effective educator model of commissioner-approved activities. I'm pleased to say that just Thursday last week, the New Jersey Department of Education updated evaluation guidelines as a result of the year-long task force that turned into a working group. First, it was a governor-appointed task force, and then there was a New Jersey Department of Ed working group. So just Thursday, they released a 35-page report as a result of our work over the last year. I had the pleasure to serve on both. Pleasure to be the chair for the governor's task force. The working group adopted the vast majority of the recommendations that they could. Some are going to be moved forward through pilot. So there are now 6 highly effective options for tenured teachers, which will allow teachers to, and it allows, and there's every district has to make some choices that we're working through. But essentially for the state, tenured teachers will have an opportunity to opt in, which would take the place of their annual, their second observation. The other component of that is also that there's work for the alignment of the PDP and the SGO, the Professional Development Plan and Student Growth Objective, with the recommendation to work towards alignment so that the two can become one, and they have to look at that through code that sunsets in 2027. So as a result of that, the DOE has put out a request for pilot districts. It does not require board approval, but I want to let the board know that we have submitted as of today for participation in the pilot. It's to work with like a liaison group of representative teachers as well as administrators to engage in that. We'll have to still be selected to participate in it, but we're looking forward to that possibility. So I just wanted to let you know that that work has brought forward some pretty big recommendations across the state, and that we're taking a next step and to submit to participate in the pilot.
That's really great. Thank you for all your work serving on that task force, and it's good to hear that they're adopting most of the recommendations, so thank you. Do we have any other, any other new business, I guess? So that takes us to our second opportunity for public comment. The board invites comments from members of our community who are present. Each participant is asked to give his or her name and address prior to making a statement, which will be limited to 3 minutes in accordance with Board Policy 0167. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. This public comment period shall be limited to 15 minutes. I feel a lot of pressure. There is no pressure. I'm not looking at you. It is, you know. I want to be inclusive of our one remaining participant. But hearing none, that's totally fine. I can close this public comment period and move on to everyone's favorite part, adjournment. So can I get a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting? Paul and Shweta. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And that is it. Thank you, everyone, and good night.